Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. The old way of IoT application creation is dead. Long live the new way. I'm going to give everyone a few more minutes to join. We've got quite a number of people in the audience already. I thought we would give just a few more minutes for folks to join. But I want to show you this brief video of IoT 83 and application creation enablement. So this tagline for the old way of IoT application creation is dead. And there's a new way of application enablement. Really came from one of our customers, and we sort of seized on it. IoT 83 has gone through a 3.5-year journey of working towards transformative approaches to creating applications for industrials, OEMs, and operators for Internet of Things. And in one of our demonstrations, the customer actually said, "My gosh, it looks to me that the old way of building an application from scratch and going through all the risk, cost, and pain of that is really a thing of the past." And so we seized on that, and that's something that we want to talk about today. Nishant, how many folks do we have on now? Are we ready to start?
So I think, yeah, we can wait for another 2 minutes. And hello, everyone. Welcome to this presentation by Lee House, our CEO of IoT 83, that brings a lot of, I would say, knowledge from his ex-companies like IBM, GE, 3Coms, and I would say we as IoT 83, we are glad to have him on board. And he's the brain behind this complete digital transformation journey and how exactly we can take it to market. And so just to give you a quick idea about this webinar, so by default, everyone would be on mute. Anytime if you have any question, just raise your hand and we'll have a break after every 30 to 45 minutes, in between a break for 5 minutes. And in that, we will try to address all your questions, all your queries. And by even after that, if you have some more queries, Lee would be open to kind of do a one-to-one meetings as well. So we are perfectly open for that. So now I will hand it over to Lee House. We can I would say just wait for another 2 minutes, and then I think we should be good to start. Thanks, everyone.
That sounds great, Nishant. I'll give it just another minute or so before we get started. As you can probably see from my video, I'm taking this meeting, as we all probably are, from our homes in our shelter-in-place environment with COVID-19. One of the things we won't be talking about this very much unless it comes up in the question and answers, but a lot of our customers have actually been reaching out to us to how do we leverage this platform to better enable the return to normal as much as we can, doing service automation and enhanced focus on IoT and how we can help businesses come back to the level of productivity that they need to. So we can talk about that some in the questions and answers. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Just quickly, the agenda that we're intending to go through, talking a little bit about why the old way is dead, what the new way is, and an overview of IoT 83's application enablement platform. And then we're going to show you some examples of applications creating using our application enablement platform, and then give you a tour, a demonstration of how this platform is the new, or can be the new, fast path to rich application creation, and then go into any questions or discussions that you might have. So I'm Lee House. Nishant introduced me. I'm the CEO and co-founder of IoT 83. Deep Nair will be on the call as well, along with Jayant Puri, our Vice President of Engineering, and Nishant, who you just heard from. So this is a quick you know, just sort of a market validation of what the McKinseys of the world have to say about IoT. IoT was a huge hype several years ago, and we've been actually, you know, living through the creation of the IoT market, and it's working. The data that's coming in about the amount of money that is being saved by industrial operators and OEMs is very significant. Even though up to this point it has been pretty hard to deploy IoT, that is getting better, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. But you can see from these charts the number of devices that are being connected and the prognostications of how much economic impact IoT is expected to have. So the value of IoT has been validated. Now it's really about how to do it and how to do it efficiently with lower cost, lower risk, and faster time to market. Let's see here. Okay, good. So this is a little bit about why the old way is dead and what the new way is. So, you know, for years and years that, you know, gosh, we all lived through this, you know, when I was at IBM building very sophisticated and complex communication products, we were all doing this waterfall method of development, very expensive, very slow. We had to have millions of dollars available to launch on a activity like this. And then when we got to the end, we could finally do customer validation to see what was going on. The market is the development opportunities have transformed so much in those days, in these days. So with all of the open source software that is available now and agile methodologies, there really is a completely different archetype, if you will, for creating applications. The scale of deployments, real world experience, you know, this constantly improves open source software far beyond what any individual company can do. And the availability of multiple modules of open source software creates an opportunity to create sort of Lego of new applications. So what software development becomes is you know, leveraging these different components of proven software into new applications. And so the even more interesting thing that is going to be very enabling for IoT OEMs and operators is the application enablement frameworks. So we take the open source, carefully curated open source code, leveraging it through agile frameworks into these highly reliable components, and then build frameworks on top of that for new application creation. So the enterprise world has been doing this for quite a while, leveraging open source software, application creation tools to produce enterprise Lego software. And we can look at over the past 15, 20 years what companies like Salesforce and Oracle and others have done for enterprise productivity. The same kind of transformation is needed for industrial OEMs and operators. These application enablement frameworks democratize digital transformation development. And we're going to show you the application creation enablement framework that we have created at IoT83 to build agile workflows, application creation tools, big data scale, all with proven reliability. So when we 3.5 years ago, when we sat down to try to figure out what should we be investing in, what should be our mission and our focus for IoT83, there were 3 driving factors that we were thinking about. I had spent years at GE working on IoT deployments, and I realized that all of the use cases were different, the devices were different, the business needs and KPIs that business leaders were trying to solve were different. And going back to code for each one of these bespoke applications just made no sense at all. So we looked at these 3 components. First, digital transformation is hard. There's complicated big data infrastructure, steep learning curves for engineers. and slow and expensive time to value. All of this was slowing down the value creation. It was so expensive to get to a discovery point that a lot of IoT opportunities just never happened. So the goal was to dramatically accelerate discovery, engineering, and deployment. The second realization or focus area is that IoT is inherently diverse, from the edge, the algorithms needed, to the use cases. There's diverse data, diverse business needs, diverse use cases. Our goal, significantly streamline handling these diverse needs. And then, this is really all about the creation of the application. But once the application is created, you need to be able to operate it and scale it in a cost-efficient way, just from an operating perspective, but also run it efficiently. So the next goal was to provide best-in-class cost to run it and the management tools to be able to operate your application at scale. So this is what we've been working on for the last 3.5 years, and we feel that we have reached a pretty dramatic result in terms of what we're able to provide. So, we've got the hardened elastic IoT core and application creation tools to accelerate time to value, and then the application tools compartmentalize and simplify the creation of sophisticated applications. And finally, we believe we also have best-in-class operational tools and DevOps tools to make scalability available from day one. You build on the platform, it leverages the IoT core, and so you're ready to scale inherently. So when people think about building IoT applications, they generally think about what's above the waterline here. So, right, connecting the IoT devices, build application logic for whatever the unique application is, create the visualizations and dashboards for human interaction to this solution, and then host and scale the application. But there's a tremendous amount. If you want to take this seriously from a business optimization, cost optimization, scalability, and overall impact to your enterprise, there's a lot of other things that have to be a part of the solution. Fragmented data, and how do you bring all of this data together? Making sure that your edge and your cloud are part of a coherent strategy as you move forward with your OEM solutions or your customer solutions. Handling the diversity of data. How do you transform the data? How do you bring all the data into a and we're going to talk more about this, into a uniform and easily manageable format and data lake? And the value then of all of this multiplies when you're able to leverage these IoT solutions into other existing application services and middleware. And then, very few IoT solutions are greenfield. There's legacy equipment in the field that needs to be interworked. There's legacy applications that are important to businesses that need to be a part of the solution. So being able to leverage all of that is very important. Complexity, we talked about before, it's inherent to IoT. And so the framework has to handle this and embrace this complexity. And then it's really important to understand that the only way to manage IoT is with smart analytics, rules, policies, and AI, or it breaks. There's just too much coming in for humans to be able to look at all the data and act on all of the results. So all of these automation and action on events and algorithm integration, et cetera, is critical. And then at scale applications needs automation. These are complicated systems. They need to be self-healing, self-recovering, and auto-scaling. And IoT as a function of scale, the cost as a function of scale is often overlooked. If the platform costs so much to run through inefficient execution and architecture, it neutralizes the value of the IoT application. And finally, the overall value chain has to be secure, scalable, coordinated, and simple. So we think about this stuff above the waterline as we're building proof of concepts and showing what the application might be. But in terms of creating value for the enterprise, all of these other pieces are very significant. So as we set out to build this, try to create this new way of application creation, we had to go through this process. We had to curate the right software components out of a huge set of available alternatives. We had to build a new, to build a secure and reliable architecture, and then finally pull all of that together and prove it out as a secure, reliable, scalable, elastic IoT core. This was the first part of our journey. The next part of the journey was to create this application creation framework to make it easy to create new custom applications that run on top of this reliable, elastic core. And this is what we produced. We produced this proven core that has been demonstrated for, gosh, over 65 million device connections running at scale. And we built on top of that this application creation framework, or rather application operation framework. And in the operation framework, all of this pipeline of tools to be able to create applications. And so we're going to show you a lot about this application creation tools pipeline. But we also built this set of tools to operate the system. So simulation tools, DevOps tools, performance management tools, scale manager tools, tools to be able to build digital doubles, and then this appliance creation capability for single-click deployment once you're ready to actually launch these platforms. All of this is essential because the complexity of IoT applications just continues to increase. Device management, data ingestion and conversions, action on event, custom business logic, a lot of different algorithms and automations are required. Application creation, web and mobile, multi-role, multi-tenant, multi-device, multi-application, anomaly detection and management, fault detection, prevention, operational efficiencies. All of this in order to be able to deliver against the killer applications for IoT, action on event, asset protection, service automation. Once we had done that, there's a pretty dramatic difference between that sort of going through that series of application creations I talked about before, curate the software, build the architecture, prove out the elastic core. If you look at the difference between the old way and the new way, it's really quite dramatic. Even using the IoT as a service tools from companies like AWS or Azure, the difference is dramatic. From building the back-end logic to creating the data layer, all of these pieces are a challenge, require significant engineering learning curve, and quite a lot of work to bring a bespoke application to market. Leveraging tools like IoT83's application enablement platform, which we call Method83, you can see this dramatic difference in terms of cost, time to market, and risk. There are areas where there's still quite a lot of thought that has to go in. What exactly does your application need to do? What sort of analytics do you need? What sort of dashboards are required? Ongoing maintenance. Exactly what are you trying to achieve? But the difference, mileage may vary, but this difference is real, and it directly impacts time to market, cost, and risk. There's one interesting thing to point out here as well, is this platform portability is very dramatic. If you want to get platform portability, you have to spend a great deal of effort on that. What IoT83 has done by carefully curating this open source code is we can deploy on private cloud, public cloud, or on-premise devices, which can be extremely important to a lot of OEM and customers and operators, where an air gap is required between the implementation and the internet. So anyway, the real key thing here is, with this kind of application creation framework, the platform equalizes the opportunity for any business to profit from IoT innovation. Okay, so this is a complete development environment, but it's also an open system. This is really important. You can easily create and launch the applications with secure APIs to create open and flexible access. When we first started working on IoT, we were really all about devices, connecting assets, connecting sensors, connecting gateways. We soon came to realize that there's a lot more to a successful implementation than that. You want to be able to connect to other databases that have got relevant information to the application. You want to be able to create the enterprise applications that are core to business operations that are now complemented by this digital transformation or IoT solution. There may be third-party web applications that are important to integrate, or middleware, or documents. It may be important to connect to other functions you have running on AWS or Azure or Google or IBM Watson. So we can either connect to these solutions via the connection manager or via APIs that are created in the system to be able to directly interwork with the applications that you create. So using an application creation tool like this with all of these interfaces and open availability, it's all secure, right? All the APIs are secure APIs, but this really enables you to connect your entire ecosystem in ways that were not possible before. You know, we can look at the connection manager, connecting all of the edge devices that you've got on whatever protocols or solutions they are. You can look at how you can leverage the different databases that you've got and pull them all, you know, through normalization into a data lake that can then enable use for your different business logic, sort of across your enterprise. All of your you know, artificial intelligence, machine learning, algorithm development, et cetera, can be enabled or you know, open a large ecosystem of capabilities there. You can export data from your dashboard studio and you know, integrate it into your visualization tools that your business is already using, and you can create multiple applications. So it's really interesting how much of a ecosystem enablement this kind of application creation platform provides. So how do you use this system? There's a lot of different ways to do it. The first and sort of obvious one is you leverage the system as an end-to-end IoT application. The next way, augment the end-to-end application with existing services and tools that you already have. What existing software can complement such an implementation. The platform could actually be used as middleware to expand existing enterprise solutions, or used as a general processing data lake, offload engine, or gateway to northbound applications. This is an example of using Method83 to extend or complement existing systems. There's a lot of different possibilities for what can be done there. Here's an example of using Method83 to extend and complement service applications. To be able to provide all of this information from your asset telemetry collection and action on event and custom algorithms to improve and simplify service management. And this is an example of using the application to create a unified data lake to be able to leverage all of the data across all of the different pieces of your business for greater coherency and digital transformation. Here's an example of using the system to manage multiple hierarchies of different types of devices. So all of these things are greatly simplified and made possible through this kind of application creation framework. So if we take a look at the different pieces of the connection manager, the data manager, the business logic creator, the AI and ML insights manager, the dashboard studio, and the application creator, we've built a lot of different tools in these components. In some applications, you know, you can configure the entire solution just by configuring and clicking the different components of this tool set. In some cases, for example, in this example, there's you know, a lot of unusual devices. So you'd leverage some custom connectors from the data manager do some simple data transforms, and then the rest of the platform could be configured by click. A different take on that, it's the same application taken to very high scale, where some custom dashboards are created for specialized tools or services, and you leverage the extensive DevOps tools for operations. Another example where you've got a lot more data transformations and algorithms are needed, you can leverage the poly-language Lambda or function as a service capabilities and create APIs, secure APIs in the system, and create machine learning and AI algorithm workflows. Another example where you need multiple APIs to external systems, again, you leverage these poly-language Lambda and function as a service APIs, and the rest of it can be very straightforward. So you've got a tremendous number of tools that can be used to be sure that you're efficiently delivering or implementing depending on the actual needs. We also strongly believe that that implementation should be iterative. So go after some really key business needs, implement those in the most straightforward way possible, and then go back and say, okay, what's next? The way the platform is set up, once you've created an application, it's ready for scale because it's riding on top of the Elastic IoT core, again, that has been scaled to 65 million plus applications. So, or other device connections. So the whole point is the tools pipeline lets the simple be simple, but also simplifies complexity. It lets OEMs, operators, and businesses focus on the application that they need, leveraging their market expertise, not the IoT plumbing. So I'm going to summarize what the platform really is. So we've got the proven, hardened core. It's got extensive DevOps capabilities for always-on reliability, portable to public, private, or on-premise applications, no code, low code, custom code, depending on what you need for your application. And then the application creation tools, where we have the connection manager. Make it easy to connect, not only things, but external databases, applications, APIs, middleware applications, web applications, or even simple network files. The Data Studio provides a low-code, no-code, custom code set of tools to ingest, transform, normalize, and persist data from multiple sources to multiple sinks. The data can be stored in Hadoop, Mongo, Cassandra, Elastic, SQL, and more. The code engine, we provide a lot of different tools for action on event. So when something happens, what do you do? So trigger on event with the policy manager can be very simple, or you can trigger complex algorithms that you can easily embed in various languages into the platform for execution of your core business logic. We've provided a Insight Studio, which is really a workflow tool set for machine learning and artificial intelligence experiments that can then be rolled back into your custom business logic to improve the overall economic value of the system. Dashboard Studio, we have a rich set of widgets, gauges, line charts, maps, all sorts of tools to create compelling dashboards. We've also included a widget builder to allow the creation of custom user interfaces. We'll show you that as a really deep set of visualization tools that are available in the Dashboard Studio. And then finally, to pull it all together, all of the data that's been collected, the business logic that's been created, the pages that have been created can then be put together into a user application leveraging the application creator. So over here on the right, there'll be all the different pages and components that have been made. In the center, you can create the menu that you want your role, whatever role it is, and you can create multiple roles, multiple applications for multiple use cases. Create this menu and drag and drop these components on a parent and child basis into your application and click publish. When you publish, it's ready to scale. So, I'm going to briefly go through this. you can imagine we've implemented this across a lot of different verticals. In this example, there's a lot of building telemetry data running through this tool set that we've just talked about in order to create building management solutions. A lot of different building management solutions: lighting control, window shades, HVAC, ventilations, energy efficiency, and on. Similarly, vehicle telemetry data run through the system for fleet management solutions. It's interesting that the telemetry data is different for these different applications, and the end solution is different, but there's a lot of common patterns in order to deliver value and efficiency, leveraging this IoT and digital transformation capabilities. Same thing with agriculture, same thing with power. So we've been working with a lot of different industries and demonstrating how effective this capability is. And then once the solutions have been created, deliver custom dashboards across a whole different range of needs for different users, different applications, different roles, all to deliver the IoT value in an efficient, low cost, fast time to market path. So I think now we would be ready for some questions if there are any, and possibly a break if that's needed. Nishant?
Yeah, so thanks a lot everyone for listening to Lee House. So he's my CEO. I need to listen him, so I just need to check if you guys were also listening. So I'll just unmute everyone, and just everyone can say hi, hello to each other. That would be the best thing. I think yeah, all of you might be unmuted.
Hello everyone.
So I think yeah, that's what I'm just trying to figure out, if it allows me to do that. Attendees will have full audio control. That's perfectly fine.
Well, I realized that was a lot to digest, and I went through quite a number of slides and concepts in a short amount of time. But I think it's important to be able to get the idea of what it is that we're trying to achieve here, and the power now that businesses have to democratize. Uh-oh, we have an echo.
Okay, so I will. So that's fine. I will figure that out, and then we'll unmute everyone by the end of this. That's perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do is, if the break is required, I have some questions here. I'll just push that. So probably that poll. So I would just need to know one thing real quick. I'm launching, so if everyone can help with that. So got 38% votes. I think 50%. So everyone is attentive. So yeah, just waiting. So just do a raise hand if you need break, and then after that we'll switch it to Jayant, who is the Vice President of Engineering. He's ex-Oracle, and he was involved in the identity management system in Oracle. Now he got his experience from there and invested, I would say, more than 3 years to building this platform. And just mute myself, and I think I got the response. So Lee, I just posted a question that, are you running too fast? And probably I think you are not. So I think it was good. Okay, so I will now just pass it to Jen, and we'll kind of, if everyone can just quickly raise their hand if you need break or not. So a raise hand would be yes, or otherwise no. So I guess it's no. That's perfectly fine. I'm just transferring the control to Jen.
Well, hello everyone. So I'm Jayant. I am the Vice President Engineering here at IoT83, as Nishant already said. Thanks, Lee, for such a great start and such a such a boosted up start. So I'm really excited to present the platform. So before I start, what I'm showing right now here is the applications that we have created on top of this Method 83 platform. So if you just take a look at these applications, so this is a page of the application which is showing a aggregated dashboard, right? So it is basically an asset management application. You can have, like, you can think of assets as anything which are connected to cloud. You can think of a car as an asset, you can think of a sensor as an asset, you can think of a mobile phone as an asset, right? So these are some of the pages that I'm showing regarding their application. This is another application which deals with the fleet tracking. So again, that's kind of an asset management, but in a very specialized vertical which handles the fleet management. So I'm trying to show the variety of the applications and the richness of the applications that can be created on top of this portal. So, traditionally, if you see, these applications are not very simple. They are quite rich applications. So this is another application. If you can see, this is a smart lighting application which has another different pages to it. Very detailed application which tells about the status of the asset, the different attributes, the different counters on top. You can reset the filters. Then again, this is another page of the same application, and again a different page. So all in all, if you look at this is quite rich. Like, all these applications are very rich, and they are, looking at it, if I would just to ask you that, it would probably take a lot of time to build these applications from scratch, right? So you would start with your asset, you would kind of, take in the requirements, you would then, write a business logic, find a suitable stack to connect to the cloud. So as Lee said in his presentation, that, there are different hills to climb. So it's like you get to know the stack first of all, you collect the team, then finally you start investing your time, effort, and money, and then finally it's really, you're not really sure at the end that, whether all this time or all this effort that you have spent is really worth it or not. So to address that problem, so what we have brought to you is basically a platform which makes this work really very easy. And when I say easy, it's basically, when we say in the initial video that we said, it's a matter of clicks that you can basically kind of create your applications. So to start with the platform, what we have is the very first building block. When any organization, whenever it starts to think of creating something, the very basic or the building block is basically a project, right? So you need a project to have your resources kind of at one place, your costing, your resources, and everything. So everything should be clearly segregated. So the very first thing that we have brought to you is basically an a project management thing, which comes packaged as a part of the platform. Now when you say project management, you need to have the complete source code control and all that stuff. So if I take an example of a project, so everything is really kind of source control. Whatever you do on the platform, everything is going to GitHub, and this is all configurable. So you can configure the configurations of which OAuth, I'm sorry, so which OAuth providers you want to use, and which all connections you want to use. So maybe you would want to connect to basically instance like Jira for ticketing, you would want to connect to GitHub for source control management. So all that basically comes in quite handy. So now once we get in a step inside the project, so how the things are arranged here is, so the very first thing that you need to create an application is data. So now a data could be data at rest, or it could be data in motion. You could have an application which says that uh, there is an Excel file, there is data on S3, there is data in form of a parquet format, or there could be data in form of a database. Like, every data is at rest. So now creating an application out of data at rest is one type of kind of an application. The other application could be wherein your data is in motion. Think of it as sensors. So the sensors connected to the cloud, they are sending data to you. A very basic example is, take an example of a small thermostat. Now there is a thermostat which is sending this. I'm talking about a home use case. If you talk about an industrial use case, the same thermal sensor can act in different ways. So showing you the variety, or showing you the complete the complete breadth of use cases that can be built. Think of a sensor, a thermal sensor, as a thermostat in a home, versus think of the same thermal sensor as planted on top of a, let's suppose, an oil pipeline, which whose job is basically to continuously monitor the temperature of the flowing oil, so that it can be transported without any problems. It's like the temperature plummets, so in case that's a problem, if the temperature rises too high, that's a problem, so to maintain the temperature. So there could be varied use case of this very small sensor. Now the platform is capable enough to solve or basically address both these use cases. So we have different building blocks in the platform. If I just walk through the blocks quickly, or basically at first, we have what we call as connectors, right? As the name suggests, you connect the data to the platform. We have different streaming connectors, we have cloud-based connectors, we have databases, we have ERP systems, and then the list doesn't end here. There's a lot of more connectors coming in. Next, we have what we call as the ETL, which is again nothing but it's the heart of the system. As the name suggests, the extract, transform, and load. So that's basically where your data processing or data manipulation happens. You manipulate your data, you make changes to your incoming data, or you make changes to your data at rest. All sorts of massaging of the data happens at this layer. Then we give you some functions. Basically, those are nothing but some user-defined functions which probably you write so that you can do some additional tasks or additional stuff on your data. Next, once you have done this, we finally come to data collections, which is nothing but once your data is in motion, it's being manipulated. So basically it's in flight. Once you have kind of processed your data, you would want to store it in a particular location. That's basically is data collections. So we'll be going over each and every item in detail, but just to give you a top level view. Then we come to something we call as function as a service. Now this part, if you all are familiar with the other platforms, you might know what is Lambda, right? So something very similar to that. So you write your functions, and that's a serverless technology. You write your functions, you write your business logic. So all you need to do is just write your business logic. You don't have to worry about the scale, you don't have to worry about the deployment, you don't have to worry about the availability. Just the organizations are focusing on the business logic. Next, API, very standard way of talking or communicating with the outside world. So any consumer, this could be a web application, this could be a mobile application, this could be another application in the cloud. So they are talking to talking to this portal via the APIs, which are nothing but the wrapper on top of your functions. Then, as Lee was talking, we have a very rich page studio and a widget studio. So this portion helps you to design and create pages of your choice. More control is provided in the widget section. And finally, you come to applications. So switching gears here, we showed you this application, this asset management. So that's the applications view on the platform. So this is how the application looks. So you created pages, you created your menu, you kind of assigned the theme, right? So everything you did here, it's everything available here. And the changes are basically taken, the changes take effect on the fly. So if I say that I want a collapsed menu, and I just go and save it, right? The moment I switch back to my application and I give it a refresh, that change basically, I'm sorry, someone logged me out. So that change has been taken effect. So that change has already taken effect. So what I'm trying to say here is that making changes in terms of renaming your menu items, making changes to the themes and all, it's really very simple. Now the basic, so this is basically the final product that you have. Now how did we reach this point? So for this particular webinar, what I have done is I have taken a very small example of a thermal sensor. So we have a very important piece of the platform which we call as the simulation studio. This basically provides you a capability that in case you are trying to kind of venture into IoT. Let's suppose there is an organization that's trying to do something in IoT, and they are not kind of willing to really spend on the hardware until they have a proof point and until they are really sure that okay, this is something that's going to work. So you can virtually create your devices here, and you can control the scale, and then you can see that if this device were a real hardware, how would it have behaved when it was in the field. So what we did was we created this sensor. Creating a sensor is really very easy here. You just kind of define that JSON. So that's basically a very small definition that I have taken. So I've taken a sensor ID, I've taken a temperature, I've taken some humidity, and I've taken some timestamp value. Now I'm just publishing it to a MQTT topic. For people who are familiar with the MQTT, that's fine, but for others, it's basically a kind of a publish, subscribe, distributed architecture, which really is very lightweight, and it is used in IoT communication because it's very lightweight. Right? It's built on top of the TCP stack. So once we do this, what I did was I just played around with some stuff. I said that okay, some random simulation here for the temperature, some random simulation here for the humidity. And again, this is a very rich interface because you can always go and create your own simulations. You can write your own Lambda functions here. You can write your own, kind of I would say very advanced simulations. So I'm like, for the showcase, I'm just picking up a very basic simulation, but you can also go and write your very kind of advanced and very rich simulations, so to speak. So now once I kind of defined this particular device, what I do is I said that okay, 40 assets, so basically 40 thermal sensors. Think of it as 40 thermal sensors placed on a pipeline, let's suppose, and then they are sending at a frequency of 3 seconds. Now the moment I start the simulation, what I get is I'm able to sniff the data also. So you'll see a complete stream of data flowing in. You can see the speed at which the data is coming in. All these sensors are reporting here, and then you can just clear it, and again the data starts coming in. So you can see that the data is continuously changing, and the simulation is behaving in a very kind of a seamless fashion. It gives you the complete I would say it gives you a complete outlook of a real sensor being deployed. So a real sensor when deployed in a field, if you define it in the beginning, it's very easy for you to create applications, and in the end just stop the simulation, replace it with the real sensor, and you are done. So you already have your application ready and deployed. So from here, what we did was we moved to the connectors part. So we defined the device. Now we move to the connector, saying that okay, that's an MQTT connector. So I created a thermal connector for this. Now when I create a connector, it's just really very simple. It has some fields here which are again nothing. It just address and the credentials of the broker, and then I specify the topic. So now basically the system has started subscription of this data, and that can again be visible from here. That from here also the simulation is throwing data to this, and this guy is picking up data from this topic. Now once the data is being picked up, the next thing that we do is massaging of data. So we have, so if you saw, we had temperature and humidity as the main attributes. So we said that okay, let's go there and write some quick ETL. So write some quick kind of a function to just extract that data. So if I show you how the ETL works here is, it's very simple again. So behind the scene here, what happens is it's the Apache Spark in motion. So the Apache Spark is basically kind of driving this whole big data stuff. But traditionally what you do is traditionally Apache Spark is not an easy task. It's really cumbersome to learn and kind of implement Apache Spark. So what we have done is we have given you a wrapper on top of that. Now that wrapper is really very easy. It's as simple as just saying just pick up the values as they are coming in, and then you can also have some aggregate functions. You can have some operations like min, max, average. Then you can do some filter queries. So you can do all sorts of stuff. So once your data is manipulated here, you can also write, or you can also invoke these Spark functions, which are nothing but the standard library functions that are provided. So now once this is all done, what you do next is, sorry, so what you do next is basically you define a, sorry, where was I? So you define a data sync. So when I say a sync, basically I'm just, now here what I did was I did not do any kind of processing. I just said that okay, just give me the data as it is. You could have written custom functions and all, but I, for this demo, I did not do that. Now I pick up a sync point. Now here in the sync point, I said that, you know, there are multiple options. I can throw this data back to an MQTT stream. I can throw this data to an S3 bucket. So the connectors really behave as data source and data sinks. You can pick up from virtually any connector and you can push data to virtually any connector. So there is no restriction on whether you can pick up from Mongo and push to S3, or whether you can pick up from MQTT and push to HDFS. So it's basically crisscross n cross m. So you can just pick it up from anywhere and push it anywhere. So I chose to push to MongoDB. So that's the name of the collection that I gave, and some indexes. Again, these are all activities which traditionally are done by writing code, and they are, you know, making any changes to them means redeployment. But on this platform, it's again a matter of click. So you come here, you can add more indexes, you can delete indexes. Now once this is done, I can see my data happily sitting in that collection which I created, which is the thermal collection. So that's my data. Now, since the beginning of this webinar, I created 40 assets and 40 sensors basically, and are reporting 3 minutes. So almost I have 27,000 records, and this will keep on increasing. So it's like 27,873, 27,893. So these records are constantly increasing. So this is the data that is kept in the database. Now, so basically your data from the field has reached the database. It's with you. The connectivity has been taken care by the cloud. The subscription has been taken care by the cloud. You have really not done anything, just a few clicks. Your device is sitting happily in the field. Your data is continuously being pumped to the database. Now we come to the other part, which we call as FAS, which is the functions. So for this, we have a variety of available, you know, places where you can write your functions. Because if you are writing functions, there could be two reasons. Either you are doing some analysis, for which we say that you can use the utilities or the custom functions, or else you are writing some logic to kind of pull up some data from the database and put it as a visualization thing. So you're creating a line chart maybe for visualizing the trend. You are creating a gauge chart for visualizing the instantaneous value. So I created two things here. I created a line chart here, which is nothing but very straightforward Python code. It gives you this editor. So all this code that you are seeing, you need not write that. The main logic is this much. You just take care of the business logic. So that's your collection. It's very simple. That's your collection. You attain the collection. You attain the Mongo connection to the database. You play around with some stuff, and you are done. And if you were to create this function from scratch, this is what the system already provides you. So it says that okay, this is the format that I'm expecting. So it's like your code goes here, you remove that, write your business logic, and you are done. So, and the best part is everything is source controlled here. So if I showcase this, that's my git history. So all these commits I just made, you know, 41 minutes ago, 44 minutes ago. So and I can actually see what changes did I do. So if I click this gets open in this tab, and it shows me that okay, these were the changes that I made. So you know, your project management is taken care, your code is secure in GitHub, you know, your code is source controlled. Any changes to the code are being continuously monitored, right? You have each and every you know, kind of commit being tracked. So all in all, your project management is done, your data is safe, your data is secure, and your team is continuously collaborating. Now once you are done with writing a function, you move to writing an API. Traditionally, writing API is like, you know, you create a controller, you define the base path of the controller, you then, you know, kind of call the service methods or the service class logic inside the controller, you do exception handling and all blah blah blah, all sorts of stuff. But here, when I created this, so here what we have done is we have given it a Swagger kind of look, so that, you know, people are really familiar with Swagger. But underneath, behind the scene, what basically it was, there was just this much. So you say, okay, define a module, give me the base path, just name it anything you want. I said it's Gauge, that becomes a Gauge. I can also say Gauge 123. I can change the API at runtime. I pick up the category, in which I created my function, and then I just picked up the method. I selected my function. So just in case I was trying to attach another widget, so I would pick up this category. So I will lots of functions created under that category. So it's like you write your function, you come here, create your API, attach it, done. That's the only part that you need. The best part here is you can actually, before even using this API, you can actually try and invoke it here. So you say, okay, you want temperature. I say, okay, let's try out humidity. So I pick up humidity. That's my sensor ID. That's my min and max value, and I say execute. The moment I say execute, it pulls up that data for me. Okay, so I say that's Celsius, but that was basically humidity is in percentage. So I say this and I say execute. So that shows percentage, that shows the value. If I pick up the temperature and I say Celsius, I just plot it, that gives me the value. So that's the value, 36 degrees Celsius. So that's basically picking up from simulations. Right, so now I've done this part. Now here at this point we say that in case someone wants to stop here and say, okay, I just want the middleware, that's also a capability. You say, okay, I have done my part, I have my data in the system, I have my APIs, I'll use these APIs probably from a different application, from mobile, or from any other third party maybe client, right? So that's also possible. You have this, you just take this and then start invoking. But someone who wants to kind of go further in the product, he says, okay, let me just try out the page builder. So these are the different pages that are created. I'll just try to show how we create a new page. So okay, so this is our page studio and that's our canvas, right? So first of all, the canvas supports 3 different versions. You can see how the things look on mobile, how the things look on tablet, and how the things look on a full size monitor. Now, on the left hand side, you have a rich library which helps you to kind of take care of your visualizations need. So you can use bar charts, counters, gauge charts, line charts, etc., pie charts. But there could be scenario where you say, okay, that's fine, but I am not satisfied with this particular kind of library. I need to do something of my own. So good enough, we have what we call as widgets. We say, okay, in case you want to do something of your own, you have the complete freedom, and you say you add a new widget. It's very simple. I'm having some slow internet issue here, that's fine. So I'll say I have a demo widget and I say a demo display name, and then I say that's it. So I'm presented with this complete you can say a code pen kind of a stuff, wherein I say, okay, I define my HTML, I define my CSS, I define my JavaScript. On the fly I can pick up libraries from the CDN. Someone is very comfortable with, let's suppose, Bootstrap, so you can search for Bootstrap libraries here. Who is familiar with React, we can pick up React libraries. Someone who is comfortable with Angular, pick up Angular libraries. So all sorts of integrations are already supported basically. So you can play around on this particular canvas and design widgets of your choice. To showcase a few widgets what we have, I'll just pick up one random widget. Let's suppose this one. So again, this is all Git controlled. So the complete Git history for each and every file, for each and every content is tracked, at who is making changes and when. So I will just do a system configuration here. And that's how the widget looks like. So if you want a complete look of this, so you expand it. So this is how the output looks like, and that's a custom widget. Now these colors, so you can call it a table, but then again, if you want, you have an add new section here. So this is basically custom design for someone who wants it the way he wants. So he has written his own HTML, he has written his own CSS, and the widget is available to be used. Now this can be easily used on the page where we were showing here, like this. So we have something called as custom widgets. You have a whole list of custom widgets there. You search for, let's suppose you say, okay, I have a detail widget. You pull up that widget, you put it here. That becomes your custom widget. It will get displayed here, and it will basically show you that, this is the view. Now that's a very rich custom widget. So it's actually a page. The complete page has been designed here. So if you see this, if you take a look, that's a complete page, and that's nothing but that was basically, if I click any of these assets, that takes me to that detail page basically. So give it a second to load. So if you see this was the actual widget that was created, and the whole history of that widget came from here. So you have your HTML, CS, and then finally it appears like this inside the application. Now the widget that I created, I'll just basically the API that I created. So I'll do a very simple thing. I'll pick up a header, right, and I say, okay, that's my demo application, right, and then I'll pick up that basically that gauge chart, and I say, okay, that's fine. I'll rather have a huge one, right? So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and configure, and I'll say temperature. I'll pick up that API, the API that I created. Now this gives me the complete details. So I pick up that particular sensor, I define I just say, okay, that's my unit, and maybe I say the range is 150, and I plot it. Now, the moment I plot it, that gets plotted. Now the good thing about it is you can also customize it using this. You can say, okay, instead of 150, you want the range as 250. The range gets 250. You can start as low as, you can start as low as negative values. You can say, okay, the temperature can go from -15 to 250. So all that is configurable. So your ranges, your colors, and all. So in the next version of the platform, the colors are even configurable. So this is constantly being upgraded as we speak. So it's really simple to, just if I just save it, that's done. So that's my widget. It takes in the negative value, the positive value, the ranges, and the heading comes here. Now the next, for the same data set, I say I would also want to see the line chart, or maybe the trend basically. So I have a variety of line charts. I pick up this one, I just expand, come on, I just expand it, and I say fine, I'll configure it. Now again, there are a lot of configuration options. So it says, okay, count. I say, okay, just give me 10 records. I don't want more than 10, and give me the value for humidity maybe, right? And then I say, okay, that's basically sent, and then I plot it. It just gives me 10 values. I say, okay, well, let's increase the values to maybe 50. Again, plot it. It increases. So this is like, it's really, so I would say, dynamic, and it's really so flexible that you can any day, come and change the theme. You say, okay, the yellow color is something that I like, so your widget is done. So in a fashion, what you have done is basically you have kind of created a page within no time, right, without even having any I would say knowledge about the HTML and CSS. Even anyone can actually create that widget. So this is how the widget looks once it's basically published. So a published application looks like this. Now this is a very basic example. Initially that we said, right, you can create applications as rich as these. That just depends on how you want to design that page, what is your color, what is your taste, what is your the look and feel that you want, and you can just create anything. That you can literally create anything, think of. So all these applications just speak about the variety, that's it. So this is one kind of application, this is another kind of application, right? So moving further ahead on this, we talked about the simulation studio. Then we have a very regular IEM concept, which is basically the complete range of users and and their controls basically, and their roles and their groups and all, which projects these users are in very standard IEM, but a very full-fledged IEM with all the filters. You can easily kind of look for which projects they are working on, which roles are there available, and which access types do you have, right? Then we have something very interesting which we call as the templates, which are nothing but, think of a scenario wherein you say, okay, your thermostat is constantly reporting, and you say, okay, in case there is a particular temperature increase, or there is a case wherein the temperature goes beyond a certain threshold, shoot me an email and raise alarms. So for that, when you say shoot me an email, the system gives you a capability saying, okay, you define the email, you define the template that you want. In case you want something to be called as an alarm, you define what you want to call that alarm as. You define the color basically that the system should blink when it's actually an alarm. In case you want an SMS, you basically create that SMS template, right? And then these are the different attributes, which are nothing but the default variables, which are like, these are already available by default, and you can just plug them and attach it to your template. So it's like, dear so and so, and your device ID so and so, the temperature, the attribute of your device ID so and so has exceeded the current value by this threshold, right? So something of that sort. So you can actually create as many templates and in whatever basically way you want. And then these are the notification templates. So very standard 4 different templates we provide as a part of the platform. Now we further move on to the features that we call as the operational features or the operational ease items. So in during all this stuff, we said that, okay, the sensor is reporting, the sensor has exceeded a particular threshold, you want to apply some policies and all. So that's basically the place where you apply policies, you create and basically work on those tickets. You can see the alarms here, you can see the reports here. So just a very quick example of alarms, if I have, this is one kind of a example alarm. You can see the history of that alarm, that when was it raised, when was it acknowledged, when was it addressed. 4 days ago I did something on this alarm, and all that stuff. So you have very proper filters here, and then you have details about that alarm, right? So this is basically, those are all the tool sets that anyone would want, or any organization would actually want, when you are actually creating an application. So all these tool sets would be available by default. When I showed that application to you, if I just open and edit this, if you see, these are the first class services that are already available: the IAM, the operations, and the templates. So these, what we say is, these features are available by default as a part of the platform, and rest everything is left to you to configure and create as per your choice. So the platform is really very vast, and I don't want to take all the time. I'd also want people would have lots of questions here. So I would kind of take a stop here, and would pass on the control to Nishant, so that people who want to ask some questions and who has some queries would be happy to answer them. So thanks everyone for being so patient. Spelling.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jen, for your complete overview of the platform. So I'm just raising a quick poll here, and then you can just answer it. And then probably, I think if there's any specific question, feel free to raise your hand. I will just unmute you, and then I think we can have the closing remarks by Lee and Deep. I think Deep also joined the meeting as promised by Lee. So yeah, I think let's just close this. So you can just raise your hand, and I can unmute, and then probably we can have those questions here. So I think we have made the platform pretty simple because there's no questions. So probably, I think, yeah, it's very easy. Uh, so yeah, I think now I would hand it over to Lee if you have any closing remarks, and then probably we would be connecting with you guys on email, and then we can have some specific meetings and see what specific problem this platform can solve for you. That's what our motive is, to keep our uh, keep our guest happy with this platform, and I think this platform can do that for you guys. So Lee, it's all over to you. I think Lee, you are on mute. I will just unmute you.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted. Well, thank you everyone for your attention on this webinar. We really enjoy being able to present to you why we think that I'm saying as our customer said, the old way of application creation for IoT is dead. The new way is far more cost and time efficient, faster time to market for, in the end, a better solution. Democratizing the ability of businesses to bring these IoT applications to market quickly and to deliver sophisticated IoT and digital transformation solutions. Hope you found it informative. Please feel free to reach out to me, Deep, JP, Nishant, any of the team, because our mission is to help you be successful with IoT and digital transformation deployments. Does anyone else have any closing comments?
So I think everyone would receive an email with some of the handout that would include the presentation, the company deck, and even the recording of this meeting, along with some of the slideware that talks about our deployments in smart cities, oil and gas, mission critical projects that we have done, so that you guys can relate, okay, this could be a requirement or this is a requirement, and then we can follow through that. So that is something that you'll be receiving by the end of this meeting. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. We would be there to help you out. Thanks a lot.
Nishant.
Thanks, everyone.
Go ahead, Deep. All right, thanks everyone. Be safe, and please feel free to reach out to any of us. As we said, we look forward to working with you all.
Thank you.